What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by Ping Pong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What is up, everyone? Ryan Kramer with Ping Pong Payments here. I'm your host for this show, Crossover Commerce. Thanks for joining me on this lovely, gloomy Monday where I'm at. Actually, we have an action-packed week going into just so many different topics that we're going to cover this week. I'm going to release those slowly as we continue to go throughout the show. But obviously, I am very excited about my guest today. He has his own show, Lunch with Norm, that goes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He's constantly on all these different talks in the e-commerce and Amazon space. We are lucky enough just to have him to kind of give us some little tidbits of knowledge on influencers and brand ambassadors. His name is Norm Farrar. I'm going to go ahead and bring Norm in right now. Norm, thanks for joining us on Crossover Commerce today.
Hey, my pleasure.
You're a busy guy, so totally lucky to have you. I know there's just so much going on this time of year. What's kind of going on with you? Let's start there.
Oh, man. Well, just coming out of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, kind of surprised, what I saw there. I didn't see a spike in sales. I just thought it was an unusual event. It was a little bit of a bump, and, we're just trying to figure out, what we can do, which is, and this is what's driving me crazy right now, is driving tons of external traffic. So how can we do that? How can we get more traffic over to our Amazon listings or to our e-commerce sites?
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, obviously you have just a slew of all these things that you do in the Amazon e-commerce space. Maybe let's dive into that background to kind of show who you are and what leads you to where you are today.
Sure. So do you want me just to give a bit of background information?
Yeah, let's go.
Boring.
Hey, we like to know the personal side of what makes people tick, and that kind of gives us insight to the professional side. So, why don't you take it away? What makes Norm, basically?
Okay. So, I guess going back into the 80s, early 90s, I had a promotions company, and the promotions company allowed me to figure out perception, perceived value, which I've always kept. Right up to this day, I think it's so important. During that time period, I had a company a Fortune 5 reach out and ask me if I could put together a website for them, which I did, which led me into a lot of other Fortune 500 companies wondering, if you did it for them, could you do it for us? Because nobody was doing it back then. After that, I got into online print on demand. So if people needed logos or if they needed just envelopes and letterhead, we created a outsourcing business to India to get all that done. So we were one of back then, probably 5 companies that may have done that. After that happened, I got into, this is my family business. So my family's always been involved with manufacturing. My dad saw what I was doing over in India, wanted to know if I wanted, and we were also sourcing a ton in China at the time. So he thought, well, maybe he could get out of what he was doing and start outsourcing in China. So we eventually opened up 2 factories in Taiwan. It was all contract manufacturers based, which led to specialty manufacturing, which led to warehousing, which led to, basically Amazon. And Amazon is the perfect storm. So all of that kind of came together. Then within Amazon, which was kind of nice, I kind of created a vertical integrated company. So sourcing and logistics in one company, Amazon managed brands and coaching in another company, content marketing and earned media like public relations, PR, content. And then in the final company, it's more chat and social related. So that's it.
That's a lot to kind of dive into. So, so you're a seller still, correct? You're still actively selling on your own listings. You're consulting with people. You're speaking on all these different topics. What's kind of the thing that's getting you up in the morning to kind of try all these different things and keeps you motivated and maybe focused on all these tasks and juggle them, efficiently, I should say?
Some people like jumping out of airplanes. I like this. So if finding new, interesting, especially if it's almost like building a brand, but if you can find an Amazon and you can find things that kind of fit into the puzzle and grow with it, that makes sense. That's interesting. Like, and again, I guess we're going to be talking about it today, but what's getting me up? I'm really looking at earned media. No Amazon sellers are touching that, and this influencer and brand builder group. Again, nobody's doing it. They were even when I started in Amazon. We went to paid influencers like platforms because it was very easy. It's like going to Alibaba. It's really easy, but where do you get the best results? And sourcing agent in one case, and then finding independent influencers, brand ambassadors in this case.
Absolutely. And for everyone who is listening to this for the first time or have questions for Norm, obviously make sure you go ahead and comment in the comment section below. If you're catching this not live, definitely answer those in the questions. We'll make sure we tag Norm specifically and make sure you find out ways to contact him, his team, all of his people. Norm has a fleet of people that are working for him. So we're going to make sure someone answers those questions, but definitely ask those questions. We'll throw them up and answer those live, just like he does on the show. But this is specifically, we're talking about today, influencers and brand ambassadors. So I guess when I approached you about a topic and kind of you guys, we're really kind of, people aren't really sure what a brand ambassador or a micro influencer, they both have different meanings. I know that personally by working with them, but maybe you can kind of go through the specifics
Sure.
for each of them and kind of like educate people on that.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand the different types of influencers or the relationship that an influencer or brand ambassador has on an influencer. So we can start off at the bottom. The bottom is the nano influencers, which are around 1,000 to 10,000 followers. And it depends on the platform, by the way. So on YouTube, that could be defined as 5,000 and under. Instagram would be 1,000 to 10,000. TikTok could be 5,000 to 50,000. But let's just stick with Instagram. So you've got the nano influencers, and these are people that you can go out to, you can trust. These are friends that have friends and family, and the people that are following them most likely want to really follow them. And they're also much more approachable than the celebrity that you're trying to do something for you. The next level is a micro influencer, and they go all the way up to about 100,000 people, followers. Now those would be the two tiers that I would be looking at, nano and micro. If you start looking at mid-tier, which is 100,000 to 500, macro, 500,000 to 2.5, mega influencers, 2.5 to 5 million, and then celebrity, tier one celebrities, like they're 5 million plus. Well, there's a few things that happen. First of all, your ability to reach out to a mid-tier, macro, mega, or celebrity are tough. It's more price driven. So no celebrity, for the most part, is interested in your product unless they get paid. The amount of engagement is less. Professionalism could go up, but authenticity and accessibility go down. So again, I always like those last two tiers because you can approach them. They're sometimes it's incredibly easy to approach and say, basically, hey, here's my brand, try it. Most of the time when you approach an influencer, you've got to do it step by step by step, following them, commenting, getting a bit more engagement, and then introduce yourself or your product to them. And then they'll write back whether they like it or not. With the other two, you'll probably get instant response. Now, the difference between an influencer and a brand ambassador is an influencer in one of those categories. For us, it's usually nano. And these are people that typically do things for free or at a slight discount because they love your product. they might even approach you. Hey, I love your product. I just did this the other day. I reached out to a brand. They have no idea who I am. I just wanted to help push the brand. I'm doing it absolutely for free. And again, when I approached them, it wasn't because I bought the product and their perceived value, their whole customer experience. I just went, oh, wow, this is really nice. So I started out as a customer. I'm going to go into an influencer. I kind of skipped that, but I went right to brand. I will be going into brand ambassador for this company. And that's what happens. It's really great when you get a brand ambassador that'll be able to go out there. Typically the brand could say, oh, I need an image showing this. Okay. The brand ambassadors go out there, send you back a bunch of images. Like to give you an example, I work with Paul Barron. He's one of my partners in one of the companies. He's got a brand. He has no problem sharing the brand, but within his brand, he within the last 3 months got 2,000 images from his brand ambassadors and influencers showing specifically benefits of his product. The other thing he was able to do one weekend, this was amazing, that he said he needed to get videos for Amazon Live, and he got 30 videos, like crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that for a lot of these kinds of companies, they don't know where to start. I guess for this kind of process, you're kind of introducing it a couple different ways by just becoming first a customer, and then B, kind of reach out on behalf and say, hey, I love this product, sending their kind of content. Is that kind of how you teach people to say that's how you should engage with these kinds of micro influencers and brand ambassadors? Is that step by step what you're kind of going through as well?
Well, there's all sorts of different ways. So your easiest, just, like 9 out of 10 courses will talk about sourcing, go to Alibaba. That's the same thing here. I can tell you, there are paid platforms that you can go to. Good platforms like Thomason. Thomason is an influencer platform, IntelliFluence, Upfluence. A bit more higher end would be BuzzSumo. So you can find anything on BuzzSumo or any of these other ones. And it'll show you, like if you go into Thomason, it'll show you their Twitter followers, Instagram, you name it. And you have to do your own investigating, because there are a lot of fakes out there. Best way, and I'll talk about this just so I don't forget, I'm an old guy, but the fakes, you want to make sure that the engagement looks real. If they're one word or very generic, if there's not a lot of engagement, a lot of followers, no engagement, you'll find out that probably a lot of bots. What you're looking is that, have good, high quality engagement. So people are actually chatting up and not just growing their followers artificially so they can charge more. So that's one thing. So you can do that when you're going into any of these paid platforms. You can, just check and see what and how people how they're engaging. The other way is you can go to, companies like Harrow, Help a Reporter Out, or if you have money, if you're selling a lot and you want to get into it, I subscribe to Cision's database. It's the biggest in the world, but it's also the most expensive. We have it because we have a press release company.
Right.
Most sellers don't need this. They can go to an outside agency to get it. But if you want, it's between $5,000 and $10,000 a year, and it's the largest database of its kind. Other ways of doing it, how about free? Just checking it out on Google, just typing in, I use an example of pets. So you can go pet influencer, pet blogger. You can drill down a little bit and go dog blogger, influencer, whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And then you could drill down even further to Chihuahua, dog influencer, blogger, or, bully stick, same thing. That's one way. That's the easiest way. The other way of doing it is going on to Instagram or Facebook. I'll show you an Instagram stream that really works, because there's a whole bunch of, I should go back to, if you want to check out a really cool way to find influencers free of charge, use this string on Instagram. or sorry, on Google. Find a really incredible blog article. So go dog blog article, and you'll see a really great one. Copy that URL. Then just type the word related, colon, and put that URL in front of it. And you'll see that that search string will bring in a ton of other blog articles about whatever is related to it. That's a really simple way. But for Instagram, Dan Fernandez over at Thomason taught me this years ago, and it is the best trick. I still use this to this day. You type into Google site colon Instagram.com with a space. Then let's say it's bully sticks space advertising. So what you're telling Instagram or the search string is that you want to find somebody with bully sticks that wants advertising or that is advertising. Then you put in quotations Instagram photos and videos, which says that they'll provide photos and videos, and then space with the minus sign or hashtag minus explore, and that gets rid of all the crap. You would be amazed. Like, do it. Just check it out. And all of a sudden, you've got all these influencers that are there that you can reach out to. So that's the cheapest and easiest way to find influencers.
So when you do kind of projects like this, what should be a seller's focus when they're going to be reaching out to these people? Or I guess maybe we back up further. At what point should they start engaging with brand ambassadors and influencers to start engaging with?
Well, I think the very first thing, the most important thing, you hear this all the time, but your listing has to be optimized. When you send the person the product, or if they buy the product, let's say the product that I bought, if it sucked, I would never have reached out. Right. And that's the same thing. Like if you're going to reach out to them and they're going to be given one of your products, if the unveiling or the customer experience isn't there, if it's like every other product and they don't want to get behind it, or if your personality is different than the influencer, then I would pass. So that's probably the most important thing. So listing up, it's got to have the proper packaging, it's got to have the proper everything. I think to get the best results. You might get people that want product for free, but for people to get behind it, well, they've got to have that feel good. And if they don't have that feel good, why are they doing it? Why are they buying it from you when they could be doing something that they really like and getting it for free?
Right. So what's kind of, maybe, can you share maybe a story of like a good example of, hey, they interacted with me and they become one of my best influencers or brand ambassadors for your own personal products, maybe vice versa of there was an engagement that you had with somebody and just it turned you off completely from working with maybe either a big time tier one influencer, or you just decided that this is not worth pursuing a partnership over?
I can tell you one that just happened with Paul, big time influencer. So this happened, it didn't just happen, it happened about a year ago, where just looking at a YouTube influencer, a very large influencer, he reached out, he got them to take a look at his product. When they did the overall product, the video skimmed over his product like it was on a pan, and it just panned past his product. Like he saw it for a split second. He could probably attribute maybe 15 sales, and it cost him thousands and thousands of dollars. So right. I don't look at, like, if I have to pay that kind of dollars, and I get 15 sales, forget it. I would much rather, spend that money on nano influencers. Now I got you this wild story that is kind of the opposite of what I just said. I'm going to just be hypocritical. So I did have this product. It was shampoo. A big celebrity, their aide assistant, picked it up, and all of a sudden the celebrity tried it. And the celebrity posts this is the best shampoo I've ever tried. You would think that would be good.
Right.
It got my listing suspended for 6 months, no reviews for 3 months. And then after that, the first review was a 1-star. So
yeah, walk me through that. How did that kind of come to fruition? That
well,
seems complete opposite of what I would expect.
Exactly. Amazon's algorithm is a whole other story. And this is my love-hate with Amazon. But because this influencer actually, like, I love this product, right? And not an influencer, celebrity said that, we sold out. And that was a problem in itself because we weren't expecting to sell that amount of product
Right.
within a week or two. So that put about a 3-month crunch on us because we had to order some new product, and it actually came from China. So we were down. However, the listing while we were selling out got suspended because the review to sales ratio was out.
Gotcha.
People saw this guy loved it, and all of a sudden we got tons of reviews, tons of 5-star reviews. Amazon's algorithm didn't like it, and it shut us down. And then
they were just liking it because the influencer told them, "Hey, this is awesome." So people followed. They're like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." They didn't actually buy that product.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Now, on the other side of it, I know with my products, this is one of my brands. A lot of the times I love it because it starts out as a customer. Now, I don't go and seek, but they love it because they like the packaging, they like the unveiling, they love the smell. So this one person just said, "Hey, I like this product so much. I want to give this out to my employees every quarter or every whatever it was." So, okay, sure. He bought it, and then he started promoting it. So he promoted it to his friends. He promoted it, and he didn't have a huge Instagram following, but he did have some very influential friends who ended up buying the product. And, it just went from single purchases to multi-purchases to subscription purchases, which really helped the brand grow. And this guy, I mean, he loved the product. And this is full purchase price. So you're not trying to, I need, 10% off or 15 or 50. So those are the types of influencers that you love. If you can go from, and I think a lot of people are going to disagree, but if you can go from customer and then bring in the customer to be influencer, then bring in the influencer to actually be that brand ambassador, that's the best way to go.
100%. So at what point do you feel like it's a good amount of micro influencers for your brand or brand ambassadors? What's a good? I guess it's like, it depends on who you are, right?
Yeah, because a lot of the influencers or let's say brand ambassadors, they love your product. And let's say you get 30 or 50 or 100, there's so much you can do with that. And once you get to a point where you're doing a brand ambassador, it's a different relationship. So an influencer will go and usually you pay them.
Right.
Now, if they love your product, a lot of the times they'll just buy it. But when you go into a brand ambassador relationship, usually you're entering into an agreement. They're agreeing to buy your product and provide you with images or video or whatever you want, and possibly content. So the videos and the images are usually free. And this is like Paul really felt that anytime you get somebody to sit down and write something for you, you can't do that for free. So that's the one side of the brand ambassador that gets paid.
Right. And a lot of people who may not know that when they come and they're pricing themselves, like, where did they come from? Where does this pricing structure come from? A lot of the times, where at least what I've experienced, is they're basing it based on their audience, like their potential reach. Correct? Is that what you're seeing for Amazon sellers? Okay.
Yeah,
and
most of the time, if you're going into the nano influencers, there's really no cost. They like the product.
Right.
when you get into the micro influencers, yeah, but they're still not expensive. It's when you get to the next tier and up, the prices go up based on the engagement or based on the following, based on the niche, based on how specialized the niche is. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that could come into play. But what I love about influencers or nano influencers, if you do it right, it's a very inexpensive way just to get perpetual information or not information, but product, images and videos, as well as content. So you can take a look at some of the articles that have been written, and you'll see that Amazon's number one, like a retail outlet or like a Chewy would be out there, then the website, and then you've got all this content that's written by influencers. You can really take up a good chunk of page one and possibly page two. I've got a slide that I did for press releases, which is kind of the same thing because it's authority, and then you've got authority equals trust. But we're 2 full pages of Google were my product, except for 2 listings. That's a lot when somebody goes over to Google and say, oh, and it's all either people that have been writing about me, my press releases, or my images.
Right. Do you find that it's easier for conversion wise, or you see higher conversion rates when it comes from a third party source like an influencer or a brand ambassador? Because what I tell my team over here is, hey, you can pump out all this content as much as you want, but if it's coming from the mouth of the person of the product or service that you're selling, people are going to be skeptical, and they're going to go into Google or go into YouTube and say, hey, for example, ping pong or PR reach review or PR reach versus competitor XYZ. Do you feel like that's what you are seeing as a seller and across on the PR side as well? It's just like more third party is more trusted, I should say.
Yeah, there's got to be, as whatever you can do to either increase your authority or to have you look like the authority and to get people to trust. You'll never get a sale without the trust. You'll never get a sale with just authority. So authority has to equal or match trust, and then you can get those sales. You can, and some of I'm going to go back to Thomason because they have this, they have 5 modules. One of their best modules is underrated. It's called social distribution, where you can take a post that maybe one of your brand ambassadors shot. It could be just an image. You can create that image or take that image and put it over and build a campaign around it, and then go write it, in your words, then find 10, 20, 30 different influencers and ask them to post it on their network as if they wrote it. And so now you're getting all these great influencers posting the product in your words, and you're getting all the props for it. It's really great. Like the perfect spin.
Absolutely. And I know you as an agency, you're talking more like, hey, almost like third party. I think the trending thing, and when I talked to Shane over at PRH as well a few weeks ago as well, even as recent as last week, we were talking about editorial content and how that's really driving sales and how that's growing coming from a PR perspective. Can you kind of maybe dip into like that as a brand ambassador? It's almost like a brand ambassador, but it's really in the PR vein, if you will, of why that's super important for Amazon sellers, maybe coming into 2021 even.
Well, it's so important. I wouldn't say for small sellers, but if you're a medium to large seller, how can you change the game? And there's a few different ways. And one, it goes back to the authority and trust, but we talk about earned media. And earned media is, either getting onto a TV show or getting into magazines and having your brand be kicked around or somebody's talking about it. That's important. That'll give you instant trust. If the Today Show or Rachel Ray is using a product and she says, wow, this is fantastic, or really high quality review sites. Well, that's the same thing when you're looking at, and some people haven't seen this, but on Amazon, they have these editorial recommendations. All it has to say is Amazon's editorial recommendations. It's instant authority, instant trust. So if you've got a yoga mat and some yoga and gym fitness magazine says that it's a great product, I know this for a fact, your sales will go up 10 to 30% on Amazon just for having the editorial recommendation. It's crazy.
Yeah. So where is that coming from? Do you think it's just because people are looking just for trusted reviews, like the best of this? Because for me personally, when I search for like you said, the best yoga mat or yoga mat for this, and they're like, I think what Amazon does is like top reviewed or like second, and then it says like best value, and then it sticks around 3 or 4 different products.
Yeah.
Is that really that big of an increase in sales in that section?
Yeah, you will see if you get like in those in that carousel. If you get into that carousel, you will see. Yeah, matter of fact, it's made where you have to see it because if you don't convert, they kick you out.
Wow. The listing itself, they kick you out of that.
Yeah,
listing
like
if you
you
don't.
have to convert because the magazine wants you to convert. And if you're not converting, they'll replace you with another topic.
Right, and you can't pay to get in there, can you? Or is that something where that's just where people, well,
did I tell you to tell me that?
No, I did. See, this is the natural banter I have back and forth with people. People don't understand. That's where we come from. Is I just have natural questions for people. And
okay,
it goes into that.
So yeah, at PR Reach, because we do earned media and public relations, we have those relationships with those companies. So the way that we do it is we create or we do an introduction basically to a magazine. They'll write the listing, or not the listing, but the article. If Amazon picks it up, then you pay. Other than that, it's free. So if the listing doesn't get picked up, they don't like it, if it's about whatever, then you have nothing to lose. So it's really kind of cool because if there's no risk, but if you get into Amazon, then you can get 10 to 30% more sales. That's what's showing right now. But anyways, that's a whole different topic. Like earned media, let's keep earned media is incredible. So, and that, by earned media, I'm talking public relations. And for large or medium sellers that have not explored earned media, you are missing out big time.
Right, and that's a trend that I've been talking, especially with Shane. I actually was talking to him on Friday just about just the power of earned media and what that's going to do for people here coming. I think here in the near future, if not already, people are going to really see that value. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to obviously our topic today of like influencers and brand ambassadors. So when you're working on a project, obviously, like Paul, I call him a friend of the show. He appeared and did a really cool Chat Marketing University tutorial for us. He has a specific vision or a project that he's working with these influencers with. When you come to who owns that content, right? It's his idea. He goes to them and says, hey, let's do this. I'll give you XYZ, whether it's payment or shout out or whatever. Who owns that kind of content? Or maybe it's a combination of both.
Well, I know for us, one of the things that we'll do is we have with brand ambassadors, there's an agreement. So we own it. So it's co-ownered. And so, we both own the copyright and we can publish it wherever we want. We can use it for promotion. And you should have like a 1 or 2 paragraph. You can find it online, but just make sure that the copyright is either transferred over to you or you have the understanding that you can promote it the way that you want. And I recently, it's been about a year, but we did have a problem with that with one of our clients who spent a pretty good chunk on an influencer. They did a really great video on these chef products. It looked fantastic. And the guy was really nice. Then my client uploaded it to Amazon and this guy went ballistic. like really ballistic. And then he ended up taking down the video. He was like the soup Nazi, you know, and
Right.
he just went crazy. So anyways, that was because my client went about doing it wrong. If he would have asked up front to do this, the guy probably would have went okay. But because he found it on Amazon, I don't know how he did it. Maybe he was just looking at the listing. He went absolutely ballistic, and he could have sued my client.
So when people are doing that stuff, you're saying to protect themselves up front, just have the understanding of, hey, this is the project, it's going to be transferred to us, or we have the right to use it however we wish. Make sure that understanding is in writing. What's that?
Yeah, it's just a couple of lines stating that what the project is, who owns it, and what rights do you have, what publication rights do you have.
Very cool. So when so we're talking mainly Amazon right now in terms of how that's going to grow your brand. When you're on the flip side and let's say, for example, you have a Shopify store, or you're selling on other marketplaces, are you seeing the same effects that influencers and brand ambassadors are the same for Amazon listings?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So whether you're selling a product or a service, you can find ambassadors. So with Honu, for example, we're trying to find brand ambassadors that have tried our service, like our service, and are willing to promote the service. So that's think of a lawyer or a cosmetician, or you can go down that route. But if you have, let's say you're selling on Shopify or BigCommerce, yeah, definitely. You can use it exactly the same. People, just building up the content. It's just ongoing user generated content that shows people that they can trust. And by the way, when you're doing the user generated content, just think of all the repurposing that you can do, not only on your website, not only on social media. Want to go back to Amazon? Think of what 2,000, so this is Paul, 2,000 images will do for Amazon posts this month.
Absolutely.
Now you're on your competitors' listings. This is going back to Amazon. Now you've got all this engagement, and there's so many things that you can do when you're talking about influencers. So let's talk about kitchen products. Well, one of the things that we did is we went out to a college, a culinary college, and provided all these kitchen utensils to them on one condition, that they take pictures on graduation. We sent out a ton to chefs on one condition, that they provide a recipe or a video of the recipe that they were making. And these are things that don't have to be difficult, as long as you're willing to pretty much give up your product. Don't make them charge for it. Think of what you can do. Like, now you've got really engaging information. Somebody standing there, with a kitchen utensil in their hand is nothing. I mean, it's okay. It shows social proof. A chef saying how much they love the product, or using the product, or giving away these recipes goes a long way in Amazon for conversion, but also just think what that does over in social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing that people just don't understand, the legs that it can have when you work with influencers, both in a good way and a bad way. A lot of people think just reviews, and that's great. There is reviews in one capacity is fantastic. You want to say, like, or a tutorial, if you will, but when they're using it constantly, or for example, anytime I lift up a cup and that cup has that brand or image or logo on it, whether it's on a podcast or whether it's in a video or a picture that has legs, and you can use it on social media, or you can use it on video tutorials in another capacity. You're right. It's an endless amount of applications, I should say. We had one question that came in from someone on Facebook. From Brennan, do you think that it's ironic the answer to capitalism is pay to play, or rewarded by playing smart? Does that make sense to you, or do you think it's more of a...
really don't have to pay to play? I mean, you can, but if you put in enough research into your product and you give people, the consumer, if you outperform what they're expecting, over deliver, you'd be surprised at how many people want to see that, because so many people are underwhelmed when they get their product. You're thinking about, like, Apple does an incredible job about this, and everybody talks about Apple, but they really do a great job with the whole 10-second anticipation. The box is made for 10 seconds to pull it out. Same thing here. If you can do a product that over delivers, man, you can get, if you see a repeat buyer, I would hit them up and say, oh, would you like to maybe forget the whole influencer thing, send them a page about becoming a brand ambassador, and you're not paying them. You're paying, they're basically paying you. They're buying your product so they can promote your product.
Right. And what do you think is the best way to do that? Is there like an outline that you tell your brand ambassadors that you're sharing with them constantly? Like, hey, this is our expectations. We'll continue to feature your content in exchange for this. Is there a program that you align, or is it just kind of a case by case basis?
It is case by case, but this is where personality comes in, because you might get somebody who doesn't reflect whatever the brand is. It's got to meet your brand. It's got to be on target with your brand. And if somebody's got one view and you're completely 180 on the other side, and if the person's only in it for money, then there's a problem. Brand ambassadors will go above and beyond to promote your product. They'll promote it on their network. They'll do things in an instant, basically, to help you out, as long as it's a win-win. And that's why, like, if they're doing if they're doing written content, you got to pay. That's a whole different story. But that's what I would do, is just make sure that if you manage the expectations of your influencers or brand ambassadors, and you don't hide anything, and they're not expecting to be getting paid $100, then you're good. If there's any expectations there that are missed, and all of a sudden, oh, I thought I was getting paid. Oh, you're not. Now you've got conflict.
Right. I personally we've ran into issues where there has been searching for money. And this is just a business. It doesn't have to be an Amazon seller perspective. This is for brands in general. When you have people who have those expectations, and it's an assumptive process, when that's not the case for them, you can get pretty ugly pretty quickly, especially with social media, as weaponizing as it can be. Yeah. If they have a following and they rile people up, or they just remove all of your posts, all your content that they've worked hard for, that's something that's super damaging to a brand. I guess on the flip side of that, when you work with like maybe those little bit higher influencers, do you have to look at who you align yourself with on a brand perspective because of the identity of that influencer?
Absolutely. And that's why when you check them out, either on a paid platform or you go and do your own research, you want to make sure that you align, or they align, with what your belief is. So if your brand is a certain way, say you're a dog lover, and you're looking at certain, I got even a better one. So you're a dog lover, but you promote larger dogs. Okay. You've got a big, thick dog collar or jumbo bully sticks. You don't do mini bully sticks, but the brand person has poodles. Well, that's not going to match, because these jumbo bully sticks will never work with these poodles. And the content that you want isn't poodle based. It's, Great Dane based. So those are things, I mean, it sounds kind of subtle, but you will find those niches. Like my old business partner, Wilfred Lightheart, he's an engagement guru. And he had pet categories, dog categories. Then he got into breeds. And for schnauzers, I didn't even know that there's this many schnauzers in the world. But we had 175,000 people in the schnauzer group.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah. I should
Think
have
of
asked my wife
that.
that question. She would know.
I mean, think of it though. If you could go in and if you had schnauzers and what you can market to a schnauzer owner, and think of the funnel, just think of the funnel that you could do for this. Like you could start off very low, maybe a charm, then you can go up a little further. Then, I mean, you could just target these people all the way up to, making blankets for them, with their dog's name on it or something like that. There's so much you can do once you narrow in to a specific niche.
Do you crowdsource product ideas from your influencers or your brand ambassadors?
Do I crowdsource from them?
I would say like, hey, what's a product that we might be missing that we don't offer? And then
That's
they kind of
great point. So now you've got a really great focus group, depending on how many people are even your customers. But if you can get those lists and you can use them and you can create a community. So for us, we'll create a Facebook community where we're not putting in a ton of promotions. We're putting in a lot of content. People love it. And then you could say, hey, what do you think about this? Does this look better in green or blue? And I'm sure you've seen stuff like that where people will just say that in the, in the Amazon space. Hey, what do you think about this? It's your own PickFu or usability hub. So like PickFu, I think is an awesome product. You've got 8 slots that you can go and ask anything you want. But when you have your focus group too, you can get it even more finely tuned in. So
right.
Yeah, it's a great little focus group.
Yeah. What's kind of maybe with all these micro influencers and social media, I think like the one thing a lot of people think about right now is TikTok. When I'm thinking about social media and influencers and the spaces that they live in, obviously earned media is one thing. Influencers and brand ambassadors are on the typical Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. What about TikTok has you either excited or maybe like shies you away from how to capitalize on that kind of audience, if you will?
Okay, so I had somebody on our podcast. Her name's Mayan, Mayaaan Gordon.
I know Mayan.
She is the person to talk about this stuff.
Sure.
But what she told us, and this is incredible, that you can have 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 followers on TikTok and still not charge that much. The whole Instagram, Facebook, pay to play hasn't come over there yet. So you can have a person that has an incredible following, yet over on Instagram, you would have to pay an arm and a leg to get this person to do it. On TikTok, nothing. So if you can start to recruit people from TikTok, that's great. And on top of that, I was on a call earlier today, another Ryan.
No resemblance of me, but it's a common name. In the Amazon e-commerce world, exactly.
How he was monetizing on TikTok now.
Okay. How is he doing that?
Influencers.
Yeah, just they were using his product, right?
So it was an accident. Like he really didn't expect it to happen the way it did, but it happened. And like I can tell you is that, now people get the word out there that you can make money on Instagram, but it hasn't carried over to TikTok yet.
Interesting. And obviously there's so many different facets of play of, will it even be available here in the United States? Will it not? I think the world is just kind of at a wait and see concept, but I thought there was a lot of people are like, how do you monetize TikTok with, I think 15 seconds is what they're kind of pushing around that 30 seconds time frame. How do you monetize something along that? But it's usability, right? I think that's what a lot of people are trying to see is no logo, name, hashtags, and then following those. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. So so again, everyone who's joining, again, either live on Facebook, Instagram, we're not on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Thanks for joining. Again, this is Crossover Commerce. I'm Ryan Kramer, the host of this show. We have Norm Farrar of PR Reach, plus a billion other companies that you're running, and brands, which we'll make sure we mention here at the end. You have so much going on right now, and I know like I kind of get different insights from different people on what 2020 has meant to them and what really has like fine-tuned either their business to grow forward. It's not what a lot of people predicted. Obviously, I was watching last week all these projection videos and like, what do you think 2020 is going to bring? And they make something up and it's completely out of left field. Do you give yourself or your team or your followers any sort of projections or trends that you follow that you think 2020 will have in store for people?
2020 or 2021?
Or 2021, excuse me. I'm already still stuck in that this ugly year, but like 2021, what's kind of that next step moving forward if you do those kinds of things?
Because it's so unpredictable, it's a what if, because I just heard that, okay, air travel in Canada might be another 6 months out. So part of my play, I love networking. That's what I do. That's, go to events, talk to people, get to know people. And that's how I build my business. I haven't been able to do that. So in this case, all right. So for trends for us is how do we continue to grow our e-com services, build our team. And this is for us, it's establishing a homegrown team. So that's a lot different. Most people are, I'm going to go and, go overseas and I'll spend $3 an hour. Well, we want to find high quality people that we can hire here that might be out of a job, might have been laid off. Are there any government subsidy programs? Let's bring it into the community. We can have real time. Instead of Zoom, we can sit down and talk. That's, I like that idea. E-commerce, it's definitely going to be there. I think that we're going to continue to grow in e-commerce. E-commerce services is going to grow. I like trying to diversify. I think that's will be a big trend. I think Amazon is definitely going to be there. It's going to be the big player, but being able to diversify on either Shopify or other platforms, that's another big play. And I know it's taboo for some people to say, go and diversify on your own outside of Amazon. That's crazy. I just don't like being a one-legged stool.
I agree. Is there a marketplace, because Ping Pong is an international company, we're trying to enable and help people, grow globally as well. Is there a marketplace that you have your eyes set on that you think might be something that a lot of Amazon sellers or Shopify, sellers flock to or really should focus on?
I have been hearing, a matter of.
You can't say Canada because that's where you're from. Like, that's
I know. This one's crazy. I was talking, I'll tell you the marketplace in a second, but how would you like this? I was talking to a guy and he just said, he was selling supplements. And he says, I sell about 10,000. I went, wow, that's pretty good. 10,000 a month. There's no 10,000 a day. So what market? He goes, India.
Okay. Supplements in India, 10,000 a day. Holy
10,000 units a day. So I don't know about you, but I think that is the fastest growing market right now for Amazon. Absolutely. I'd love to be able, I'm not in there. I'd love to be able to get in. I'm going to talk to Megla and figure out a way that I can get in there.
That's funny. Megla's coming on the show next week, so I'm going
to ask her.
I'll ask her for you.
Okay.
How does Norm get into India, Dave? Yeah,
Norm wants in.
Exactly.
But no, I think that's going to be a really great spot. And on Megla's behalf, I hope to attend that conference that she has, because I think that is a next huge opportunity for Amazon sellers, is sourcing in India as an opportunity. I mean, there's complete differences. That's not what this podcast is about. You'll have Megla on, but
okay.
Yeah, there's some really good opportunity over there. I'm excited about that.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I was going to say too. I think. I was going to say India, which obviously we have a presence over in India. I think that's where a lot of people are budding, just with the people, the marketplace in general. Like you said, it's a marketplace where there's sellers that can be activated in. So that's great. There's, I wouldn't say Japan, I thought was a lot of buzz that a lot of people are selling on marketplaces like Rakuten. as well. And then Australia is actually surprising me enough where it's really being focused on, I think, a lot of people just selling in Australia on different marketplaces, but also they're just kind of, I want to say they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to like technology or just commerce in general. But I thought those were those kinds of marketplaces that were budding. So when you said India, I shook myself. I was like, I agree with you. That definitely makes sense. So we're budding up on time. Norm, what's kind of like with the rest of this year? What are you looking for? What are you expecting? So you said you didn't think that there was a big jump in sales or e-commerce. Do you think that's just a trend for you, or do you think that's e-commerce in general that, it's just going to be consistent across the board?
Depends on, whatever category you're in. My niches, it wasn't that much. It wasn't affected that much. However, increases over the period of the year have gone up. I think it's going to plateau to more of a day-to-day rather than a one-time spike. And I think that putting Prime Day into fourth quarter messed up a lot of people. You either had Prime Day spikes, or you had Black Friday or Cyber Monday spikes, but not spikes like I've ever seen before. They were, I might have gone up 100% with one product. Some were 50%, not like the 200 or 300% spikes you would have in the past.
Interesting. I mean, that's something I would love to kind of get your perception on as we continue to go and grow forward. Obviously, I know you're big in networking. You're big on, influencers and micro influencers and getting the word out. Obviously, what's kind of the way people can learn more about you, your company, your efforts? People just follow you in general. What's kind of the way to do that?
Okay, so probably the easiest way, I have a website called normfarrar.com. You can just check that out. That talks about the different podcasts and the services that I offer. I have a lunchtime podcast called Lunch with Norm, The Rise of the Micro Brands. But another podcast I'm very passionate about is I Know This Guy. And I Know This Guy has zero to do with any e-com. It is just really cool people that have had incredible stories in their life. They've had tons of failure or obstacles and how they overcame it to succeed. So, and if you want to just reach out, it's norm@amz.club.
Easy enough. Well, Norm, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're super busy. I think you're going to be also, I was going to give a shout out to, for those who are listening, the 12 Days of Nuggets. That event is starting today. I believe you're one of the speakers who's dropping information on there.
Yep.
I told the team over there I would love to promote that as much as possible on our channels. Go check it out, 12daysofnuggets.com. It's a bunch of Amazon e-commerce sellers and experts who are dropping little nuggets here for a great cause. So definitely check that out. We'll be talking about it on this podcast throughout the week as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. We'd love to have you on. I consider you a friend of the show now that you've been on, and we appreciate everything you're doing for the Amazon and e-commerce community.
Well, you're very welcome.
I love your show. I continue to watch every single day, and or every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, because you're such a busy guy. But I'm always keeping out, looking for different tips and knowledge that I can implement into my expertise and knowledge bank. So we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing it with us.
Hey, it was my pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And again, this is Crossover Commerce. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll be going live almost every single day this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Join us, as we'll have other guests in the e-commerce industry giving us different actionable insights and perspective to help you as Amazon and e-commerce sellers. Thanks a lot, everyone, and we'll join you next time.